other AMC around
Yeah.
here that's bigger. And they played it in a theater that had the old school seats. Um, I had a point. I had a point to this and I lost it. Hey everyone, and
Hello.
welcome to Why You Still Here, the show that I don't know, talk about like movies. 90% of the
Basically.
time Halloween, 10% of the time something else, and today we're talking about
And we're part of the 10%. Today, call us Mr.
Violent
10%.
Night.
Yes,
Ho ho ho. I don't know why I added that to the bottom, but I did.
because why not?
And somebody out there might be like, "Hey Brandon, you know, like what's with the Halloween shit behind you?" And I'll be like, have you seen most of our videos? Doesn't that make sense? And also secretly, I have a bag of Christmas stuff, and it didn't even occur to me until 10 minutes before we started doing this that I probably should have had Christmas lights behind me like last year, but you live and you learn, I guess. But what I do have is the Home Alone shirt, right? Which
Very good. Good
makes a
shirt to
lot
wear
of
for
sense
today.
if you've seen this movie. Yes, yes, indeed. So, yeah, we're talking about Violent Night. It is a new movie that just came out last Thursday, I believe. And of
Yes.
course, it stars the glorious David Harbour, who is excellent in this movie. John Leguizamo, Mr. Scrooge. Um,
What's
Leah
up with all the
Brady, she
Christmas
wasn't
shit?
Leah Brady wasn't one of the first people mentioned on IMDb, but I had to scroll down like 20 people to find her, and she's the girl that plays Trudy. So I thought that her name was better to be named than most of the other people that were before her because, she's like really the star of the movie, if we're going to be honest, next to David Harbour and John Leguizamo.
Yes.
And then Beverly D'Angelo as the grandma who I'm shocked to see her in a movie because I thought she went off the deep end. I mean, she's crazy. So I thought she was like done doing movies now and probably couldn't remember her lines or anything anymore, or just didn't care to remember her lines anymore because there was an incident recently at a convention that she was at. There was a Vacation reunion with Chevy Chase and Anthony Michael Hall and you name it. And she was awful at the convention, like made fans cry,
Oh,
like
that's nice.
completely insane. So I was like, I was surprised to see that. But it's written by Pat Casey and Josh Miller, and it is directed by Tommy Wirkola or Vercola. To W. So who knows? And it's safe to say that he is a director named Tommy, but he is not our favorite director named Tommy.
You must be kidding, aren't you?
And the synopsis of the movie is actually this comes right from IMDb. It's an easy, quick synopsis. You pretty much get it from watching the trailer. But when a group of mercenaries attack the estate of a wealthy family, Santa Claus must step in to save the day and Christmas. It's very true. It's very true. Unlike
Yep.
Halloween Ends, that actually makes a lot of sense. Um, so if anybody stumbled upon this video that hasn't seen it yet, I guess we could do our traditional thing of couple sentence non-spoiler review of the movie. And then we could just jump into some of the, more of the spoilery stuff, even though there's not a lot, obviously. Like if you saw the trailer of the movie, there's not a whole lot of surprises, but just to be
Yep.
as nice as possible to the audience of us, We have so few anyway, so may as well make them happy. So what did you think of it?
It was pretty much what I thought it was going to be, very entertaining. I had a lot of fun. It's a shut your brain off and enjoy kind of movie. And for what it was worth, yep, it was pretty good. Definitely, I'll rewatch it again. I'll buy it when it comes out. I
Okay,
liked it. Yes, but if you
very
saw the
good.
trailer, then, well, I'll talk about that later.
Yes. You pretty much what also side note for anybody wondering, I saw this movie last Thursday. Lucas saw it yesterday. When you watch this, obviously those things won't make any sense anymore, but whatever, that's fine. Um he saw it after me, but we have not talked about it. We
Nope.
haven't talked one single word about it. I told him, I'm like, I don't want to potentially get into any spoilers of this movie, so I'm just not going to say anything about it. And you didn't ask anything about it, so
I
we
figured I
were
would
good.
just save it.
Yeah, so nothing that we have ever discussed. So this is the first time we're discussing it. And yeah, I feel pretty much the same way. It was basically exactly what I expected. If anything, I don't know what's going on with my voice. I keep on having like
A frog in your throat.
snoogle woogles. Yeah, exactly.
Snoogle
Um
woogles.
anyway, anyway, yeah, so if anything, the movie was more of a Christmas movie than I anticipated it to be. I don't
Yes.
think that's a spoiler. I think that that is something that somebody can hear and go, "Oh, maybe I will check the movie out now." That kind of thing. I thought it was just going to be straight up, just like Die Hard Santa, and that was going to be it. It was just going to be over the top fun, basically. And it ended up, it is that, but it's also like there's like a really sweet through line through this movie, and there's a lot of heart in it, and you can watch this movie as a legit Christmas movie. Like it's not like Die Hard where you're
Yeah,
like
it's
Die
like
Hard's a Christmas movie.
the whole, yeah, which is not, so whatever. But the whole overall
Right.
theme of this movie is believing in the spirit of Christmas through and through.
Yeah.
I guess I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. There's probably other things in there as well. Be nice to each other.
Hmm.
You know, just a whole lot of Christmas, you know,
Christmas cliche.
lessons, I guess, to be learned from it. Yeah. But like I walked out of this movie thinking I was just gonna be like, yeah, badass Santa. But I walked out going like, that's nice. And the music is fantastic. I'm sure the score is fine. That's not actually what I'm talking about. But the
Yeah,
actual
the
music
selection
that's used,
of the
like all the
music.
Christmas songs.
Yeah, it's funny you say that
Mm-hmm.
because I noticed that while watching the movie. I thought, they got a lot of great licenses to use these songs, which is awesome. And I didn't even really notice the score because they really overlaid a lot of that with like the violence, which I wouldn't say is much of a spoiler, but and it always,
No,
worked out. It was cool. It was fun, stylized fun, as I like to
it
say sometimes.
it was. So yeah, if anybody out there is wondering whether or not they should check it out, um, I would say, yeah, definitely check it out. It's it's a good time, and it's a really good Christmas movie as well.
Yeah, it's like nothing you've ever seen. It's pretty fun. It's a good time.
Yeah, it's unique for sure. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna say maybe you could compare it to like Bad Santa or something, but I've never been a fan of that movie. And I don't even know if that movie has any like Christmas heart in it. So, you know, does
Yeah,
it?
I
Have you
can't
seen
say
it?
haven't seen it all the way through. I've seen a lot of clips from it, but never watched it in
Yeah.
its entirety.
Yeah. Doesn't really interest me, to be honest with you. And the second one, same thing, obviously. But yeah, definitely go check it out if you have the chance, and if not, then you can wait. I mean, I'm not insulted by people waiting for this one to stream, to be honest with you, because it's the same experience in theater or at home, I'm sure. um Yeah. Also, speaking of that, I had the option when I chose my ticket for this movie was, do I do the Dolby shaky seats or do I do just the regular seats? And I chose the regular seats and I wasn't disappointed. I had been burned by Halloween Ends, unfortunately, where I spent the extra 10 or $12 or whatever it is, and the seat, you know, shook once.
Yeah, when the car
Where
went
did
by.
you see it? Yeah, the two times I think or whatever that the car went by. Did you see it normal or did you see it Dolby? Oh, you saw it Dolby. Interesting.
I see everything in
My
Dolby,
ticket I think was
basically.
like $12.
Yeah,
So yours was 17. Was it worth the extra $5?
nah. I mean, the only difference would be that the visual quality is great because the Dolby, it's really crystal clear. It looks like a 4K movie, with like the regular projection. It's still really good, but was it worth it? No. Because for 2 tickets, it was
I
like
don't
40
think
bucks.
that I'll
You
be
know,
honest, we've made fun of it so many times before. I still saw the Nicole Kidman, unfortunately.
We come to this place for magic.
Before we get into the few spoilers that there are, what's your
yeah.
rating of this movie?
I'm gonna go with a solid 8.5. We're gonna go solid B.
Okay,
I wouldn't go
very
to A
good.
territory because, very solid.
Yeah, I give it a 7 out of 10.
Okay.
It's good. It's good. A 7 out of 10, 70%. It's a C plus, whatever. Yeah, it's good. It's not my favorite movie of the year. I'll be flat out honest with you guys. It did not make my top 10 of the year, but whatever. Go check it out. All right. So if you haven't seen it yet, go away. Get out of here. Don't let the
Bye.
door hit you on the way out. Um, or stay. It doesn't really matter, to be honest with you. There's one part of the movie that was surprising towards the end. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but something that happens to Mr. Scrooge. And that is the only thing that I would not want to know going into this movie was that part. Um, but yeah, so let's see here. Um, so yeah, what do you have to say?
Well, so as far as the spoiler portion is concerned, it has to do with my biggest criticism of the movie. Actually,
Okay.
um, the fucking trailer is the movie. It is the entire movie. They give away almost half the kills, and other than the ending, the trailer is such a quick, very good retelling of the movie that it kind of pissed me off. Like, I love the Home Alone scene the most, probably one of the best scenes of the movie because they
I
didn't
do
show
as
any of
well.
that. Number one is Home Alone is hilarious, but number two, they didn't show any of that in the trailer, and it was well thought out and fucking hilarious. But they showed the candy
It
cane
was
through the cheek in
so
the trailer.
funny.
They show the grenade in the trailer. They
Yeah,
show they show half of them, and it was
yeah,
annoying me. But I
I
mean, all
guess.
trailers kind of do that these days.
The whole Home Alone thing was absolutely hilarious. Like I both cringed and couldn't stop laughing at the nail through the mouth. Like usually that's not the kind of thing that like makes me happy, but it was just so funny, especially when they go into that and they're so cocky. Like, oh, you think this is going to fool me? And then it
The
does,
point
and
is to
he
hide the
gets
booby traps to make them
massively
work.
screwed.
And then he just doesn't see that
Yeah.
it's cut, walks up, boom. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
hilarious.
Ends up falling down into the razor blades and screws and nails and things
hmm
sticking on the ground. Yeah, that was good.
And the fact that it's
And
little
that
Trudy that set
was
that all up, that's very funny. You wouldn't think that from that little
yeah,
girl because they don't show her to
well,
be like
no,
weird or sadistic kind of, but that's
But
some nasty traps. It's hilarious.
they obviously threw it in there a few times in the movie that she had just watched Home Alone and
Yeah.
got inspired by that movie. Um and yeah, it's my favorite part of it because I love Home Alone. It is one of my top 2 favorite Christmas movies. And which, we talked about last year. Check out our Christmas episode and our other Christmas stuff from last year. And it was like an R-rated Home Alone. It was like truly like Home Alone if it were R-rated. And so that
Yeah.
was really good. And they don't get to walk out at those kind of things. Like you don't just get to, get a nail into your mouth or fall back on screws and stuff and actually walk out of that. Like you're dead. So that was fun. Santa, I mean, I kind of like the evolution, though. Obviously, David Harbour, I mentioned that before, is fantastic. I've never seen him. He's in bad movies, but he's never bad in any movies.
Okay.
He is he's fantastic. And obviously his claim to fame is Stranger Things, which everybody knows, except probably Lucas, but that's no surprise at all. But yeah, he's fantastic. And I think the first movie I ever saw him in was Suicide Squad, and it's just been uphill in the best possible way from there. And I mean, he is obviously like a jaded Santa that then kind of gets his jolliness back as the movie goes on. And that's one of the things, obviously, that is, it has heart. It has that Christmas spirit to it, is that he gets his like Santa-ness back. And I was actually a little worried that they were just going to kill him towards the end of this movie. Like that he was
I
just
didn't
going to die. Okay. I was like, the kind of movie that this is, he's just going to die. But as for what you said about the trailer, I actually disagree, because I thought it was going to be a very specific movie from the trailer, and it wasn't that movie. Like the way that the trailer makes it seem is that it's going to be a straight up, badass Santa, die hard Santa, and that was going to be it. It was just going to be that. Like there wasn't going to be any holiday spirit to it. There wasn't going to be any heart to it. It was just going to be straight up, like it was going to be fun, but it was just going to be, killer Santa, and that's it. But this movie was so much more than the trailer showed.
Well,
because
okay,
the trailer
I guess I
doesn't
get
show
what you're saying.
any of that other stuff.
The trailer shows all the kills
And
from the movie. That's my problem.
it shows some of them.
Shows like
some
half of them.
I would say go watch the trailer again. I don't think there's half of them, mostly because there's entire plot lines in this movie I didn't know about, like when the team arrives, like the rescue team. None of that's in the trailer. Like the whole rescue team of like 20-30 people that show up, which is extra, like, Santa fodder. I would say knife fodder, cannon fodder, but they're Santa
I think
fodder.
they show the snowmobile people in the trailer. Pretty sure, because he kills 2 of them in the trailer.
Maybe, but you wouldn't know that those weren't people that were just towards the beginning of the movie, or that maybe the movie was just starting off with only like 10 people that needed to be killed altogether, something like that. But really, I mean, I don't know if anybody's gone through and looked at it, but there's probably 100 people that die in this movie, at least. And you definitely don't see that from the trailer. That's just a fact. And the other thing is that my second favorite part of the movie was also not in the trailer. If they did that, then I would be like, okay, I'd agree with you. And that was Mr. Scrooge's death, which was obviously Santa struggling the whole movie to go up the chimney. His magic isn't really working, and he holds on to Mr. Scrooge, and he does it, and it literally turns him into like Jello as he's holding him. Like that was super, super awesome. That was a part where I was like, yeah, that was good. I like that. That surprised me. So there was that. There was the fact that really there's only 2 things that really stuck with me that I had to mention, and that was, and Cody Leach mentioned this as well, that so much of this movie is just great, and it's leading, seems like it's really leading somewhere. It's a lot of fun. It is a little bit annoying that the entire family are pieces of shit. That's, I kind of wanted some of them to die secretly, like the sister, the one sister and the mother. If those two died, I would have been like a-okay with that.
Well, I absolutely loved when John Leguizamo punched her in the face.
Yes,
that was pretty good.
I love that
I didn't
too.
expect that to happen.
And immediately knowing how much of a bitch Beverly D'Angelo is, I wondered how they even went about filming that, because if he even somewhat even touched her with his fist, she probably would have quit the movie and stormed off or something. So that would be fun behind the scenes to see. But yes, I loved it. The walkie-talkie thing, which was sort of in the trailer, was actually pretty cool. The way that they went about that. In the trailer, they show the present being given, but they don't explain it. And so the explanation of that was pretty cool. And then later on, obviously, he uses the walkie-talkie from the guy that he murders just on the same frequency. So like that. The massacre at the end of the movie, like the big set piece massacre, and this is the part that Cody Leach talked about, was not very good. It was like in the barn, and
when
there's
he had the
probably
hammer and he's
50
going
people
around.
that die in that scene. Yeah, and it should be amazing, but it's really not, because you can't even tell what's really going on most of the time. Like you get glimpses of what's going on.
Maybe the reindeer
And
should have just came earlier with Skull Crusher, and then he used Skull Crusher instead of whatever sledgehammer that was in the barn.
yeah, that could work, or or just continue with that same sledgehammer, but
That was
have
more
it
of like a
be a more
sarcastic
lit
statement,
environment.
actually.
I mean, it still would have. I mean, it makes sense though, sarcastic or not. I agree with it. Make it just so we can actually see what's going on, because you could tell that there's probably a lot of like, obviously there's some CGI gore and stuff in this movie. This is the kind of movie where you can get away with that kind of stuff, and it's not bothersome. But there's probably some special effects that was used in this movie as well, practical special effects, and it was kind of hidden. They kind of just, they kept it going so quickly, and quick flashes and quick movements of cameras, and it's dark, and so you're like, I can tell something badass is going on, but I don't really know what's going on that is badass. But so there's that. And then my problem with the movie, because I think everything else I said was pretty much a positive, it's way too long. This movie,
it's a very long movie.
A
It's like hour 52
2-hour-long
minutes.
movie. Yes, and it outstays its welcome, unfortunately. So if this movie was an hour and 30 minutes, or let's get real crazy here for a second, like an hour and like 26 minutes, something like that, so it gets in, gets out, and it doesn't overstay its welcome, then this movie probably would have ended up in my top 10 of the year. It'd probably be number 10, but still it'd probably be in my top 10. But the fact is that there's such a buildup, and you're like, okay, and you get to know these two characters, which are the parents of Trudy, and it's like, okay, they're not really that great of people either. So I don't know why they even spent the time to really tell us about them. The rest of the family sucks too. They even show a point where the dad is really nice to one of the, like the robbers or heist people, the one that gets talked to like shit, the girl. Can't think of what her name was, but the girl that gets talked to like shit by the sister, and he goes, I'm sorry about my sister. That's something that they should have paid off later on in the movie, where she can't, she feels bad about hurting him or whatever, but no, she's just a cold-hearted bitch. She doesn't care. There's no point in any of that setup happening, because they all are mean. This is a movie that's not really serious, so I can't really dig into Mr. Scrooge's backstory. I guess it's fine for this type of movie, right? And I guess I kind of see where he was coming from. And yeah, the last thing I'll talk about is the Nutcracker scene, which I kind of liked. That was kind of good.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Mostly because he's like, it's not called a finger cracker, it's called a nutcracker, and pulls out that big one. It's like, oh fuck.
I thought they were gonna do
And this
that.
is the kind of movie
I
I
thought
thought they were
really
gonna do it too.
because the
Yeah.
movie showed that it had balls by that point, so
Mhm.
I thought they were gonna do it,
Mhm.
but I was glad that they
Yep.
didn't.
Yeah. I was glad they didn't too. Because I thought honestly that he was going to be saved when his finger was in there, and when it wasn't saved and they like cut it off or damaged it badly. They don't actually show how badly it's hurt, but I'm like, okay, well, if they did that, then they're probably gonna not stop at anything. And then that one psychopath elf is there
Yeah,
also,
Krampus.
which
Was his name?
yes,
He was my
and
favorite
I've
because
seen
he's
that
a
guy.
fucking weirdo.
Yeah, he's really weird. He's in Freddy versus Jason. That's where I know him from the most. He's like one of the two guys that's in in the mental institution. But I've seen him in other movies too. He was really popular in like the early 2000s.
Okay.
But yeah, no, he was interesting, and what a perfect name for him, Krampus. Everybody had obviously Christmas themed names and
Mhm.
all of that. Yeah. I will say this in conclusion, as far as I'm concerned, if you want to throw anything else in, that's great. But there's a moment where they're opening up the safe, and John Leguizamo, Mr. Scrooge, just goes, I'm not gonna get this line exactly right, but he's like, I remember the good old days. I don't know, maybe I'm just getting old, but I miss when you could just drill a couple holes, use a stick of dynamite, and get into a safe. Just like, that's funny. Like,
Yeah.
like he's nostalgic for the old days. Like, I don't know. There was something romantic about that. Maybe I'm just getting old.
Yes, you are.
I was like,
I am
I feel
as
you,
well.
Mr. Scrooge. I feel you. I feel exactly the same way. Um, but yeah, 7 out of 10 from me. And what else do you have to say?
What else do I have to say about the movie? I hope they don't make a sequel. I'm going to be honest with you.
Oh, they're going to.
Yeah, it's a entertaining movie. Apparently,
Yep.
Brandon thinks they might make a sequel. I mean, I guess they could, but just one of those movies where I
I don't
felt
think there
it
would
was
be
it was
really
kind
be
of
an
fine.
issue with it. Especially if they can make that sequel shorter. Like, you don't need to have any of these people come back. Like, just have David Harbour as Santa. Especially since Mr. Scrooge is dead. So it doesn't really matter. This family is like whatever. Oh, and the dad stealing all the money. That was fun. That was
Yeah, I thought he
that
was just
was
lying
jolly.
to
I
get out of
thought
the
so
house.
too. Yeah.
And they never fully
Yeah.
said what was in the letter, but I'm assuming that's what was in the letter with the bottle of
That's
whiskey
what
that he
it
gave his
was.
mom.
Yeah.
That he stole all the
Yeah,
money.
saying like, I'm done, I took all the money, go fuck yourself kind of thing.
And then I understand the funny comedic aspect at the end of oh, burn the fire to keep him warm so he doesn't die. Throw the money in it. Who the fuck would think that would work even in a comedy movie? That was really stupid.
To keep him warm. I don't know. He's a magical being, so
I mean, I
guess it
really
doesn't
liked
really
when
matter.
what was he had tinsel or something, and he was stitching himself up with it. I thought that was fucking hilarious.
Yeah,
And they were playing
that was hilarious.
like that Celtic music ambiently in the background, and he's thinking of his days as Skull Crusher. He has all those tattoos and the helmet. I mean, when he was about 2,000 years prior when he was younger, that was absolutely hilarious.
He was a Viking or whatever. Viking's not the right word, because Vikings, I think, are maybe Viking's the right word. But yeah. In conclusion, what did you guys think of the movie out there? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you, for some reason, not see the movie, but you still watch this far into the video? Let us know. Let us know. What's your rating for it? What's your favorite part? Is it Mr. Scrooge getting turned into soup? Is it
yeah, that was
I don't
pretty
know.
ridiculous. He finally gets his nose powder back, and
Yeah.
he grabs him, goes through the chimney, and he can't go through the chimney, so he just explodes into pieces.
I
Very
love
funny.
that.
And they do
It
show
was
him
so good.
afterwards up close, so it's funny.
He's just like a ball of flesh. Yeah, that was good. It's exactly what he deserved. Because they could have gone like the route of redeeming him too, and I was like, don't do that. Don't
Well,
make it
because
seem like he sees the truth of Christmas and now
the
he's
whole thing is
redeemed.
that
You know
even
what I
though
mean?
his family didn't, get him Christmas presents that year, he would have got a Christmas present if he wasn't a piece of shit. It was later on revealed.
Yeah,
So it was all his fault because he's an asshole.
exactly.
So you just have to believe in the
Yeah.
spirit of Christmas, guys, and not be on the naughty list because then you're gonna fucking die.
Yeah. And don't care about money too, right? Don't be greedy. Just, and
Like
Santa's
Scrooge
lesson
McDuck.
was exactly. And Santa's lesson was, look at the positives in life. Look at the brighter side. Accept your Christmas spirit. Just because there's not as many, good kids these days, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't accept and be, happy about the ones that are still good, that kind of thing. I don't know. That's what I got from it, was like, just cherish the good in the world. Don't let yourself become like a pessimistic bastard. But when he was a pessimistic bastard, it still was funny.
Yes.
Indeed. Oh, you're
Yeah, I'm
saying
a
you?
pessimistic bastard.
That's
Yeah.
you? Yeah. I mean, I am too, but it's funny. Him stealing people's alcohol and stuff.
Yeah, it was very entertaining.
That was good. It was also a little sad. It was kind of hidden in there, that alcoholic father that just let his, he passed out while he was like taking care of like his baby. And the baby was like, what was like alone in the crib by itself or something. It was right at the beginning of the movie, and the father was passed out because he's an alcoholic, and Santa put a piece of coal next to him and then stole his beer.
Yep.
That was actually kind of deep, I thought. But yeah, so what did you guys think of it? Let us know. Do you think that it was weird that the mother was able to take that letter and go, nobody's gonna see this, and puts it away, rather than the elves being like, show us the letter, bitch? Like they would have looked at it immediately and the plot of this movie never would have happened. Do you think that was a possibility? Maybe something I thought of. But yeah. So to reiterate, 7 out of 10 from me. From Lucas, it is
8.5. A nice solid B.
8.5 out of 10.
Very entertaining.
Indeed. And I'm sure it'll become its own franchise. And David Harbour will finally get what he's always deserved, a franchise. So we shall see. We shall see. But yeah, it was a good time. Good time. But thank you for joining us, everybody. We appreciate it very much. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one, I guess, right? Unless we won't.
Yeah.
Then we'll see you in the one after that. Unless we won't, then we'll see you in the one after that.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.